everybody, and welcome to this evening's episode of Tuckin' In Show with Venus Kalita. I'm Venus Kalita, and today I thought I really needed some fresh air. Don't you ever feel like sometimes you just need some fresh air while you're sleeping? It really helps me to nod off when I get some good fresh air. And today we're in that transitional period of the seasons where we're not sure if it's going to rain on us or hail on us. But the wind is just fresh and cool, but not too cold. Finally, the wind is not too cold. And I've just needed to get outside. So here is my glamping tent. Glamping is something I had never heard of as a kid, but it's a thing now. It's quite comfy. In a yurt or a tent or a teepee or whatever, and you've got all the fancy indoor carpets and fun cushion seating. And I don't know, maybe someone out there has a butler. Welcome in and good evening. Welcome to this episode of Tuckin' In Show. So tonight what I have planned is a relaunch of an original whisper story. It's just whispering. There are no binaural beats in it at all. It's just my voice in your ears. And I thought I would feature this video for you with its new look, and then get your feedback on it. And it's about 23 minutes long. So if you are tired, if you're somewhere where you can have a rest and relax and it's okay to nod off, please don't listen to this if you're driving. I want you to stay safe and keep everyone else out there safe. But I hope you enjoy it, and if it does help you to nod off, then please let yourself. And if anyone's still awake at the end, we can discuss it. I'll take your feedback. I'll take your request for a new one. And just trying out the whispers, just to also play with my own voice and see which of my tones of voice work best for you. So here it is. I'm hoping that my viewer pops back. Hopefully they're not having any lagging issues. But here we go. I'm going to bring this up for you. See if you can see this well. So this is my new look. Check out my t-shirt. It's little baby pandas climbing a bamboo pole. This is background that I made with interacting with a Microsoft AI creative program. So I think I can claim the rights to this as my work. And a beautiful big blue moon. I love the big blue moon, especially in January, the supermoon. So I'd like to think of this as well, I guess those are spring blossoms out there, so that might be that April moon. And so here's my whisper video. Please make yourself comfortable. You can watch the screen or you can close your eyes, whatever's the most comfortable for you. And this will be about 23 minutes long. Once it's done, I will come back. If there is anyone chatting in the chat space, I promise that I will answer you once this video is over. And then we can discuss. I'll get your feedback, requests, and then if you're still awake, some ghost stories. So here we go. I hope you enjoy it. This is my relaunch of Whisper in Your Ear.
Hello, my precious mortal soul. How are you doing today? I hope it's been a good one. Or at least, I hope I can make it even better. I wanted to try whispering today, just to see if that helps you to fall asleep. If this is annoying, please leave me a kind, constructive criticism in the comments. I'll be listening. So I have had a lot of trouble with insomnia over the past 3 months. I've noticed many people complaining of the same thing this year. I don't know if this is a post-pandemic yawn of our brains, but we're all having a bit of an adjustment this season. So I tried to find some ways that were less conventional, that we could take some control over this ability to help ourselves sleep when we have the time, when we really need to. And I've been looking up some articles comes with authority, the one I set myself my own rule for New Year's Eve. I'm the first one to break it, and I'll break it over and over again till I make myself sick. Then I'll break it a few more times, just to be very clear that I don't want to live by anyone's rules, not even my own apparently. So, when I found this tip, I had a chuckle, and I wanted to share it with all of you. Hear me out, in case your mind works a little bit like mine. Don't sleep. In fact, make it your determined decision that once you get into bed and you're in a comfortable position, don't shut your eyes. Tell yourself, I do not want to sleep, I'm not sleeping. For some of us, that's all it's going to take. And at some point in the night, sleep is going to kick in. But if you put it in your mind that you want to stay up, that you're actually trying to stay awake, it's easier for the sleep to kick in because you're tricking yourself. And the way that the trick works is, if you're going to lay there anxious and upset and worried because you're not falling asleep, well, that's the thing that keeps most people up at night. I know that sometimes I can lie there and get so frustrated and so exhausted, I start flipping around in the bed, kicking, whining, moaning, stretching, getting up and laying down again, flipping around, pillows, no pillows, all the blankets, none of the blankets. You get the idea. It's all show from a bird's eye view. Not very comforting to anyone that might be beside you either, or anyone in the next room if they can hear you. But by getting so upset, things that spin in my mind would be, I only have this many hours. Now I have only this many hours. Think about all of the things that I won't get a good night's sleep. I won't feel good when I wake up. If I don't get a good night's sleep, I don't have enough time to feel actually rested. I'm going to feel so sick in the morning. Oh my goodness, I won't have time to do this or that in the morning. Oh, tomorrow's going to be an awful day. And so your mind spins. And then you see that more time has passed. And no matter how tired you feel, and sometimes I feel so tired that my face actually goes numb. Numb. Like I can't feel it. And I just want to cry or scream or something. All of that frustration, all of that worry and anxiety that I'm just engaged in, that's the thing that's actually keeping me awake. So the best thing you can actually do is calm your mind. And the secondary thing to accept is, if you don't sleep, or you think you haven't slept, you haven't caught yourself in microsleep, you could at least feel rested, which does actually make a big deal of difference, I've found, when you do have to get up and go back to school in the morning, go back to work as it would be. So aim for that calm. Tell yourself you're not there because you want to get a good night's sleep. You just want to have a rest. And put all of that other anxiety away and focus on, you're happy that you're awake. to read more into it, and this is what I found out. Is that if you set your alarm in the morning and you get up and get some of the light of the day onto your face right away, it helps to cue your body about not only when you need to wake up in the morning, but when you should get your sleep in the evening. It's that circadian rhythm thing. Waking up when your alarm goes off at the same time every day and getting some sunlight on your skin, that daylight. It can set your internal clock and make it easier to fall asleep at bedtime. Now I'm thinking of all of you out there with night jobs or those super large shift workers. Still getting outside to catch a glimpse of the sunset or the sunrise or the full moon and taking in a good deep breath of fresh air, as fresh as we can get it. It still helps to set that pattern for your body. And while you're out there, you can enjoy whatever side of nature you can see. The sounds at night and what you see at night from the animals or nature are also different than in the daytime. And if you can enjoy that bit of nature, it supposedly helps to reduce stress, lower blood pressure, reduce your heart rate, and decrease muscle tension. This all sounds really good to me. And all of these things in combination are the ingredients for inducing sleep in a natural way. Nothing could be better than that. If you're not able to see a lot of nature, it's suggested that we can just imagine it or look for something online. I know I like watching the aquarium fish or a river running in an ambient setting. Think about the last time you went camping or stayed in a cabin or were at a bonfire. When was the last time you looked out and just looked at the stars? Even just replaying a memory like this can help. Some people can take it farther and set their own campfire in the backyard or light a candle and focus on the flame just to relax. Some people have a porch or a patio or a deck or a balcony where they can sit out in a nice warm blanket, breathe in the fresh air, watch the sky. And if it can be in a quieter place, that's even better than a noisy one. Now, if you're the type that really has a hard time letting go of the worrying thoughts or replaying things that happened during the day and what you wish you had or hadn't done, wish you had or hadn't said, the recommendation that I found is, okay, let yourself worry then. One suggestion about this is actually to book in 15 solid minutes to just write down or record on a tape all the worries you can possibly think of for 15 minutes only. Put it in your journal. Vlog it. Put it on paper. For that 15 minutes, express everything you can. Worry about everything you can think of. Make sure you do this a couple of hours before it's actually your bedtime. Not right at the time you want to go to sleep, but before. And then, when 15 minutes are up, put down that pen, put down that keyboard, close that journal, shut off that recording, and just leave all your worries right there. You've acknowledged them. You've got them to refer back to later so you can action them later. But for now, put them away and leave them there. It is said that this can actually decrease the amount of worry that happens by the time you actually go to bed, you've already acknowledged all of it. And then give yourself a break from it. And focus on something else. One singular thought. Or picture in your mind. So that you can help yourself focus and fall asleep. I mean, where you recorded your worries, they'll be there whenever you want to go back. So we can let them go for the rest of the night. Now, another thing I came across really focuses back to what I've been trying to do in a lot of my videos for self-care. The guided breathing exercises. I know you may not always feel like following one of my versions of a breathing exercise, but here's one more for you. If you're not sure what to focus on once you do get into bed, as comfy as you can be, focus on the sound of your breath. Slow, deep belly breathing. I've even got another episode about that. And in this case, you're going to count down the belly breathing in a 4-7-8 method. In the 4-7-8 method, you inhale for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. And then exhale in one long breath that lasts for 8 seconds. If you repeat this enough times without rushing, it's supposed to increase your relaxation and bring sleep on. Let's try it 3 times just for fun. You know I'm misguiding your breathing. Here we go. In for 4. Hold for 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out for 8. In for 4. Hold 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out for 8. Making me feel something calmer. Are you feeling a little sleepy yourself? How is my whispering working for you? Let me know in the comments. If it isn't working, please help me out and subscribe. Okay, that's enough of my plug. Are you awake? Let's keep going. They say that focusing on your breath helps to take your mind off of other concerns and worries, and keeps you in the present moment. That Zen thing. Like, right now I'm breathing. Right now I'm sitting. Right now I'm talking to my soul. That's very present-minded. No room for anything else. And that focus can help bring you back to calm. Taking your focus away from the environment, putting it entirely on something in your control like your breath actually does help the mind to settle and become calmer. And I know, speaking as someone who's had problems with their lungs before, I've had partial lung collapses. I was through breathing when you have these moments take over is so very important. And it does help to get control of your breathing pattern faster, to be able to take the panic out of your mind and coach yourself through a breathing pattern. So finally, in the less known tips that people give for getting a good night's sleep is that it's not necessarily about tiring out your body. You can get up and have an exercise routine before bed, which is excellent. We should all do that. But it's actually our mind that we have to tire out. We've got to help it to focus. We've got to help it stop spinning, stop the worry, stop the replay of all the things that happened in the daytime, or the replay of what we wish it had been. We are social creatures, and if during the day we weren't doing anything that was very interesting or exciting, then night and day aren't really any different for our brain. It needs to be mentally stimulated so that it can tire out and then want to sleep. So, since our brains love to learn, if you're not engaged with the world, you haven't done any problem solving, you haven't given it any new shocks or problems to solve, puzzles to do, this will probably affect your sleep too. So, a final thing you might do in your day when you feel like your body's exhausted, but your mind isn't, is to read a book, look at a few memes, do some puzzles, something that really mentally engages you. In this way, your mind has been played with, you've had some fun. And if you're not sure what else to do, come and visit me and go through a few of my episodes. I've got a lot to offer in trying to help people have a better night's sleep, in the hopes that your mood will change to more positive, your body will feel a little better, and you'll be able to hold on to that resilience that gets you through every day. I'm hoping that what I'm offering is something that will help you add a little something better, a bit of silver lining, a bit of fun, and uplift you. I'm hoping that I'm offering something positive for you, and that you'll enjoy it. So check out my other sets of videos. Once my avatar is up and working, we'll have some live shows, and the real stories behind Venus and Emsol will finally be revealed to you. So, check out Brave Immortal Souls, making room for fun, making room for happy, different self-care tips, and getting some sleep with V. Alright, if my whispering hasn't knocked you unconscious already, and you're still with me after all this time, thank you so very much for listening. I hope that the whispering works for you. There are no binaural beats in this one, just my voice in your ears, my wandering thoughts in your mind. Alright, I'm giving you a wink and a smile, and a warm hug if you want it. Wishing you having a wonderful day, a wonderful year, week, month,
I'm coming back to you now. Let's close this off. Close this right off, and I am back with you now. Alright, so my viewers are popping in and out. I don't know if there's Wi-Fi issues out there, but as soon as you come back, please come back. We are at 98 subscribers, and tomorrow I will be back live in the evening as well. We're switching to evening times now, 8 p.m.s on the weeknights or the weekend nights, just because there's so much going on in the daytime. And I do have a short to show you. It's a new positive affirmation short, which you'll get the sneak peek if you log in here tomorrow. As for tonight, so well, that video was just relaxing enough for me to almost nod off a bit. Hopefully I didn't keep you for too long once everything came through. So I don't think so. 29, yeah, and it's 23. At worst, I left you hanging for 5 or 6 minutes. So sorry for that. Well, here I am tonight, and for those of you who've been with me for a while, you know that I always have a jug of cool ice water next to me. And I am drinking it right now. I'm raising my cup, and I'm drinking to your health and mine. Now, I know that some of the feedback for this story remake is so that we can get away from the original pictures that I was coloring or colorizing back when I first started holding this channel before I had a rigged avatar. And to place my avatar there, and I'm using backgrounds. There are quite a few that I made with the free EI or the AI interface from Microsoft. It was a week or two ago when that came out and trials were being given by the token. And so, but this background here, I don't remember. I don't think this is one of the ones that were created with the interface. This was just something found online for glamping. And I've got my blanket wrapped around me. And as promised, if you're still awake after the video, some ghost stories. Ghost stories that I've collected. Well, it wasn't my childhood home, but we'll say the second home I lived in as a child. If you had the room in the basement, which as we all grew up and were getting bigger and needed more space, so what used to be our toy room or playroom in the downstairs area became my bedroom. And it's one of those side split houses where the main basement might be under the floor, but part of it is raised above the ground, so you can have windows that can see the sunlight and let in the fresh air. And then you've got go up just one small set of stairs, and then you are in the basement where like half of the basement is above ground, and you've got a door to walk out and walk back in, and then the stairs that go upstairs to the main floor. It would be like a bungalow on the other side there. And I don't know if it was air pressure, wind pressure, something pressure, but I always felt down there that if I felt like I was going to fall asleep, just about to fall asleep, and I'd feel like the bed has been pulled away from the wall and pushed back by about a foot really fast. So it's like, I guess if you could say that vertigo kind of feeling, where you're falling through, even though you know full well you're still on the bed. And I'd be jolted, I would think awake. I think I'm awake. And it was always constant like knocking and tapping noises in that wall. And, you know, maybe a squirrel got in there or something like that once in a while, but it couldn't really explain just how constantly it was knocking. And if you'd go down and like turn on the light and go down and look at the basement and the wall that's shared on the side of the wall where I would try to sleep, nothing would be there. You wouldn't hear anything until you come back upstairs back into the room again. And so what I did, and now this is combined with dreams. So in the dreams, my earlier dreams as a kid, I guess my nightmares, if this was actually that kind of sleep paralysis thing they talk about, I don't know. But I would always, once these types of things would happen, sometimes what I'd feel is that I'm in my bed, and if I'm dreaming, I was dreaming of me in my bed, seeing like an older, like a really old woman and her old adult son, like an 80-year-old with a 50-year-old, and a younger, I guess, son of, say, 20-something. Could never really see their faces clearly, and I would always think they were yelling at me or questioning me in some kind of old German, so maybe like a pilgrim language, and I'd never understand it. But I always understood that the sense was that, why am I there? Why am I in their space? Why am I on their land? And every once in a while, and these are, I guess, also cultural folktale things, I'd feel that the old woman was strangling me with very, very cold hands around my throat. And then I'd wake up. Or somehow I'd fall asleep at some point in this terror, and I'd wake up and hear all the tapping and the knocking. And again, sometimes feel like the bed was being pushed, like pulled off the wall and then shoved back onto it. And it would just freak me out. So what I did one day was I went and I got, and the walls in the basement were always just white, everything's off white. So I got this really warm kind of toasted almond color and then painted up the walls so they looked nice. And I put my old cedar chest, which was made by a Mennonite man when I was much younger, and it has that smell of cedar, made of real cedar, into the hall, and I put out my grandma's old silver tea set. And I would just leave some tea there and say, please, 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 let me sleep. We're sharing space. It's my time now, but here's something for you. And that is when, after years of being terrified and my disturbed sleep, or sleep paralysis, whichever it was, went away. Just like that. Never knew if it was because it made things look more like homey with the brown tones, with the cedar chest, which would have been a recognizable object, or the silver tea set, or the tea. And no, I'd never check. I want to think that it's evaporation that causes things to disappear, but like I wouldn't really want to check the tea. I wouldn't drink it afterwards. I would dump whatever was left, but it would always be less. So I want to think that it's because of like evaporation in the night or something, but it worked. And so in many of the places that I've lived, other than doing the smudging with incense sticks and such, I would always put out, some tea and just explain why I was in the space and hope that nothing ever shows itself to me if it's such a thing, so that I won't die of fear. But yeah, so that's one of my first experiences with feeling like something or someone or many people are there. And I asked around about the area, and I actually found out that before it was the subdivision it was now, it used to be an area where an apple orchard was for the original pioneering farmers that lived in the area. So maybe they were wondering why I chopped down all their trees. So, but I think the cedar chest helped. I think it was a nice touch. Anyhow, if you've got any ghost stories of your own that you'd like me to read out on a Friday night, please post them in the comments below. And I won't keep everybody for too long, but let's see. Can I think of one more ghost stories? I guess mine aren't the most frightening, but more, I think it was frightening to be there at the time, but not such a big deal. But let me think of another one. When I had moved up north to the most northern place I'd ever lived in Nunavut, a place called Coral Harbor. And if you look up Coral Harbor, they've got their own channels with quite a lot of ghost stories. And I was explained to me, oh my goodness, I am tucking in, ready to chill. And it's part of their culture to share ghost stories. So if you look them up, there's a lot you can find. But these are mine. So when I moved in to the second house that I was living in, and I'm holding back some of them, but I would hear, again, a lot of tapping, a lot of knocking, a lot of what felt like someone with a broom handle tapping from under the floor of the house. And houses up there are on things like stilts, and so the idea is It's not that you'll be flooded from the ocean in a high tide. But it's so that in the winter, when the snow is fully fallen, it will make like an air bubble underneath your floorboards, which would actually retain heat, and because the snow would form an insulating barrier around the underside of the house. And then so that also helps to a little more eliminate the idea of your pipes bursting. And the last thing you want is your pipes to burst in the wintertime in Nunavut because of the expense just to ship the materials onto this island. So people try to keep the mindfulness of put your house on stilts, let the snow create a bubble wall so you have an air bubble underneath you. And at first, when I first used to be woken up by this, banging, bang, 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 so like it was searching for wherever I was underneath me, so I don't know, heard me out. And it would really freak me out that it would go from the hallway with the bedrooms towards the living room sofa, which I often slept on the sofa, so I could see everything around me, see through the windows if anyone's there, because again, I was on my own. And so I didn't say anything about this at first, but some people that I was working with were noticing I didn't seem like I was getting a lot of sleep. And so they said, hey, can we come over? And they came with their friends who were from the neighborhood because of all the ghost stories they knew growing up associated with the house, which I really wish they hadn't have shared with me. But they came in and we had dinner and we played a game called Frankie, which was with dice. And they each brought little Tupperwares and laundry soaps and stuff. And it's an informal way of like everyone who wins a game gets to pick a prize that somebody brought from their house. So if you don't need that detergent, put it on the prize block. You know, everyone comes with something. And so I like this tradition. I use it too when I go visiting them to play this game. And as we're playing this game, they're noticing the knocking sounds and they're noticing the tapping sounds. And they went into all the bedrooms where I would just keep their doors shut so I wouldn't be like tempted or spooked. And they're like, this house is really active. This house has so much knocking. This house, it's not your imagination. But as soon as they go into the different rooms, you wouldn't hear the knocking anymore. They're like, it's really freaky in here. I'm like, please, please, don't leave me alone. They're like, yep. This house is active. It's not your imagination. I'm like, why are you telling me this? I don't want it confirmed. I want you to tell me it's a myth. But they confirmed it's not like sometimes they said young boys do get under the houses if they're running away from home. There was a particular boy that I did work with in the daytime that turns out sometimes he was actually underneath my porch or the house to hide from his family, his parents and grandparents, and it was his protest whenever he'd be mad, but he'd be so frozen. And so the one night it was really, really knocking. And I'm like, forget this. I didn't go out a door in case I was being watched, like in case they were trying to scare me out. And so I went out the bedroom window. Well, I kept the key for the front door in my pocket, of course. And that was the one bedroom had it on the side of the house where there was a solid wall at the bottom because it was the side where the tank was for the water and the fuel for the house to be dropped off by the service people in the town. So I went down that way, and then I very, very fast as I could ran a few feet more to try to look under the house, under the stilts, to see everything, to try to catch whoever was there, thinking maybe it's this boy. Because a couple times I did find the boy there when I come home from work and try to walk him home. And there was nobody. Well, that freaked me out more, so forget the key to the front door. I ran off to the general store where the manager was closing down for the night, but he knew I was really freaked out, and so he let me wait while he did inventory, and then he drove me back and took a look around before I went back in and assured me nobody was there. And did it ever start knocking again? Oh, I hated that. That freaked me out. So I immediately put up an ad the next day to have roommates. And one of my subscribers here, hey roomie, is one of my roommates from back then up there. And if you've ever heard me tell you the story about the night the cat jumped into my lap, that was her cat. And we may end up figuring out how to do a collab one day when we figure out what we're going to do it on. So welcome in. Also a fellow guilty member of Once Upon a Time. So I'm not alone in telling you stories of this house. So, yeah. Well, so I made a spoof of it because I didn't want to move back in with other people. In between posting the ad and finally getting roommates was Halloween. And on that Halloween, I was tongue in cheek. I got out classical music and I played it really loud because it's old fashioned kind of music. Everyone equated it with like the organ music of churches, and so I played it really loud just to spoof off the fact that I was in a haunted house. And I stayed, I took my red bed sheets and I made a big background so that when you came to trick or treat, the front door to the mudroom would be open and you could just see me sitting there. And I was dressed like a mushroom, the dancing mushroom from Fantasia. And so it really spooked out some of the little kids, even though I was a mushroom. And other kids were very happy because they thought I was the Mario Brothers mushroom. So I'd give out little chocolate coins. And played that music. But I have to tell you, once the fun of everyone going around town trick-or-treating was done, I was very quick to turn off that music. But yeah, that was my time in the north. So, looking at the time, we're 45 minutes in of this night's glamping evening with the fresh air and the fresh cool water in my cup. If we were up north, going camping or glamping on the land, you would have a lot of people have like wooden frames that are out there on the land, and then they would just bring the canvases with them and set up camp once they go out. And any time of year you could go out. But I would say keep the rifle with you if you're a licensed hunter, of course. Because a tent like this doesn't do too much to keep the bears away. And one thing that's unnerving, more than the tapping sounds of maybe suspected ghosts out there, or your imagination, would be the sound of a bear exhaling because he's sniffing you from the other side of the canvas. It wouldn't take them much to rip one of these down, as fancy as they are. So, looking at this, glamping experience, I imagine it would be a lot of fun to do some glamping. Some of my friends think they'll get butlers or chefs to cook for them. Then that would be the ultimate glamping. I think so. But what a lot of work to set this up. I'd hate to have bugs go into a glamping room. Seems like there's not much you can do to keep them away. What a pretty nice view all around. Well, I'm thinking I might call it as an early evening. One more ghost story. It might be a little, I don't want to get into the too disturbing ones, but in thinking of my last house in Nunavut, one of the things that I was disturbed by in the first residence I had was the shadows. And so you have wind from every direction. It feels like you get wind from every direction up there pushing on your houses, and the houses being on stilts could be pushed so that the cabinets jiggle and bang and make noises and such, but you feel your bed is being, vibrated or moved away from the wall while you're trying to sleep. And it's just the force of the wind, we'll say, if you're a practical person, the vibrations that happen when wind is pounding on the stilts and you're in, thin-walled homes. So, and when we'd have nights like this, it would freak me out, but I wouldn't know what to do. And if the bed is moving, I'd be afraid to get out of the bed, although I can't imagine why I feel that way, because if being on the bed is disturbing, maybe you should get off, but I would stay, and I would look inwards to the house instead of outwards through the window, and I would think I'd see shadows. And I think I see shadows of two specific things. And it was because of these shadows And because of the roommate um, having a special diet where they wouldn't let me even keep a bread pot of my own water in the fridge, that I decided it was time to go and purchase or lease from someone their house, which the other ghost stories come from. But what followed me, if it's following me, is that I used to see two things. One of them would be looked like a little girl around 4 years old, standing there staring at me, sucking her thumb. Beside her, um, a man who was just a black silhouette. So see, like shadow people, maybe. I kind of feel cringy talking about this after all this time. I feel really weird, so I don't want to invoke anything. I want nothing but good stuff in my home, and anything that is not good is not welcome here. I'm just saying that out loud, and gonna keep drinking my water. But the man was more disturbing to me. I guess with the female, that manifested at the school as the other ghost stories I've told in about 2 episodes ago at the school and what was going on there. That followed me. But I'm thinking that one followed me from work to home and kind of stayed there once that was dealt with. But with the male, I felt like if I pushed to see the face, it would be like the end of my life. Like I'd be so afraid. I don't want it knowing I'm looking or wanting it to look right back at me. But in the newer home where the knocking was happening, the knocking went on for a couple of months, including when I got my roommates. But the odd time, and then I decided to quit and just leave. I just left the whole island. I quit my job and left a couple months after making this move. Um, what I was seeing when I'd wake up to this banging that would like unnerve me was a hanging man. Again, the silhouette, same silhouette, but in the second house was hanging. And part of what I found out from when my lady friends from work had come over and kind of investigated for their own to know that it was active is to let me know. They said, "Do you see anything?" And I told them reluctantly because I'm thinking I'm new. They'll think I'm crazy. And then they told me because it did happen there. Like a teenager did it, and so it's a teenage boy, but like fully grown, fully tall, around the age of 16, but taller than me. So, and that is who they thought it was. So that's when I immediately got into something I never had done before, which I think worked, and so since then have done it a couple of other times. I've always been aware that certain cultures believed in blessing houses or blessing the land that you're on, that you're going to build on. And so I went straight to asking elders, is there like a shaman around? What I didn't know is they don't see it positively in the way that some cultures do, like it's part of their culture, but more a taboo thing. Um, and yet, they said the first person I made friends with there was one, and they divide them between white and dark, like the way like you could be a white witch or a dark witch or whatever. There's the same thing with the shamans up there, but I found someone who um, wasn't embarrassed about it, although they weren't open about it, and they did come with some of their family and do something for me, a prayer, where you open everything in your house, every little container, every little compartment, every drawer, every door, window, and everything, so that everything can leave, and try to make peace there, and did prayers to be protective and to try to make everything like go into the light or whatever and leave. And after they did that, I don't know if it's a psychological thing, but I felt that it had worked. And it wasn't until my next move where I felt I needed to do it again. And this time was much faster to go get a shaman. And so now when I think back to things my aunts and uncles used to do, they used to save the Easter palms. And when you get the new one at the next Easter, you take the old ones and you burn them and you put the ashes around the four corners of your house. I started to do that. I even went back to my old family home with one of my old palms, and I did it there. Even though I didn't live there anymore, I just like dumped three of the four corners. I got them with some ashes, just in case someone else was having to deal with the knocking in the basement. I don't know, But I felt like that was a good thing to do for my own peace of mind, I suppose, and I did it. So, but what was happening in the next home, I will save for the next time we meet for a tucking in show, because I only have a set number of stories I collected for myself. Again, not the most horrific, but a little bit disturbing. But they are my stories. They are the things that I collected or went through at one time or another in some of the lonelier places that you could live. When I say lonelier, I mean not easy to get to. There's no highway you can hop on and show up at. You need a plane, you need a train, you need to be dropped in. So, yeah. So, those are my stories for this evening. And it's looking like my viewers have gone off to bed. If you are viewing out there and I can't see you because you don't have a Google account, that's okay. I hope you've had some fun listening, and I hope you enjoyed my stories. I hope you like my new revamp of the sleep video now that I have my avatar loaded on top. And I'm looking forward to your constructive criticisms and comments below either this episode or the new relaunched video for the sleep aid. And that's about it. I am going to say for this evening, this is Venus Kalita. Thank you for going glamping with me this evening. I hope that you are asleep right now, so sweet dreams. And if you're not asleep yet, I hope I was entertaining and helped you to relax in your bedtime rituals. Well, have a good night. I will be back live tomorrow to celebrate 2 months as a Vtuber live online. Thank you everyone who's joined me. Thank you everyone who's subscribed and supports me. Thank you everyone who may not be a subscriber, who doesn't want a Google account. I can understand you want your privacy, but thank you for all of the watch time hours you've helped me build up. It's all with all of your help, everybody, and I do appreciate it. And we are at 98 subscribers. I'm hoping beyond hope that somehow we gain 2 more and hit that milestone of 100 subscribers by the time I air my episode tomorrow. We shall see. Well, I'm looking forward to a good night's sleep. I'm actually feeling sleepy today. I'm so sorry if I nodded off on you during the sleep aid video. It's working on me. So, this is Venus Kalita. I am raising my glass of ice water, if you can hear that. And I am drinking to your health and mine. All right. I am hydrated, without caffeine, and ready to try to doze off. I wish you sweet dreams, everybody, and a wonderful weekend ahead. This is Venus Kalita. I'm signing off.